Peter Acey, Queensland Maritime Museum YouTube channel. Thursday the 13th of May. I've come to record in the first light the Pink Lady, which has been under a little bit of restoration, as a way of introducing the videos, or the video, on Jessica Watson's Q&A answers. So yeah, just the ship's coming up really well. As you'll see, people have been working on it, and it's first light. A beautiful, beautiful morning.
Hello to the Brisbane Maritime Museum community. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm going to get started and answer a few of these this morning. So the first question I've got is about what coping strategies I used to cope while sailing around the world at such a young age. So I had a lot of people who provided me with some great advice before I left, and I found that really useful. And I wonder if there's actually something in the fact that I was a teenager and that audacity that teenagers do have that actually helped me cope out there. Of course, it was also really important to know I had a lot of support behind me and waiting for me back home. That really did help. Now, second question, how did I cope with the media attention when I got back home? Well, that was pretty crazy, that's for sure. It was a pretty surreal experience. I think I was probably lucky in that, again, I had a pretty incredible team around me that protected me from some of it. And I think I was just so excited to get home that I was just going with the flow. And it was actually, I just remember a lot of adrenaline at the time that I think helped me cope with it all. What about settling back into a normal life? Well, I'm not really sure what's normal. It's not like I sort of set off from a normal life either. So in the years before the trip, I was actually completely focused on preparing for it. So it wasn't really a sort of traditional normal life. And then it certainly wasn't when I returned either. It was actually years and years of some pretty incredible experiences touring around the world and doing other sailing projects as well. What was my first emotion when I saw Australia again as I got home? Well, you can imagine it was pretty incredible to see Australia again. It had been 210 days and I'd actually seen land very few times along the way. So it was the most incredible thing to see any land and then to see Australia again. My feelings on that day were, it was a huge amount of excitement, but I was also sort of just savouring those last few days of the voyage and letting it all sink in as well, trying to remember it all, I suppose.
That again?
I'll say it's coming up very good.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Next question. I have mentioned that I would like to sail around the world again one day, stopping at all the amazing places that I sailed straight past along the way last time. What are some of the places that I would most like to stop at? Well, there's plenty of pretty beautiful places in the Pacific and those tropical locations that would be lovely. But I suppose if I had the right boat, it would be pretty amazing to explore some of those areas around Terra del Fuego and Cape Horn. You definitely need the right boat for those sorts of conditions, preferably with a heater, but that would be a pretty amazing area to explore. What exciting things do I have planned for the future? Well, I appreciate all sorts of exciting things these days, whether it is just getting out in the water locally. I'm quite busy with, I suppose, my career these days and other things like that. But I suppose, yeah, in terms of big adventures, I'm sure there will be other sailing trips, but I'm quite busy with land-focused things for now. Question, how satisfying was it to show all those experts who said she couldn't do it? Look, the people who I suppose were critical of the voyage, I can understand where they were coming from, and a lot of them wanted to help. I don't know that it was ever really a sort of sense of satisfaction. There were a few people who were perhaps a little bit unfair in their criticism, so it was nice to actually talk to them afterwards and have people sort of say, oh, we didn't realise how much preparation there was and things like that. But I'm not sure about sense of satisfaction there. At what age did I start to sail? So I started sailing when I was 8 years old. I went along to the local sailing school with my siblings, And I was actually probably the most nervous there, and I actually took a couple of years to really start enjoying it. So I was perhaps a little bit younger than I probably needed to be to start. A lot of kids are ready at that age, but I wasn't maybe quite ready. Would I do it again? Yes, I'd absolutely do it again. Probably won't be non-stop, or obviously won't be beating my own youngest record. So we'll be, stopping or cruising next time, and I'd love to have the opportunity to do it again, but maybe not just yet. And the final question I've got is, was I worried about sailing through pirate areas? So sadly, that's a real concern in some parts of the world these days, but the way that my team and I planned the way that I sailed around the world just meant that I was completely out of those areas. I just didn't want to have to be worried about that. So I wasn't sailing through those regions, and it wasn't a concern. I spent most of the voyage far too far south in the Southern Ocean, and I think even pirates realise that it's too cold and miserable to be down there. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you again.
Activity this morning as program management, take over the site, excluded every single worker, include me. I'm about to leave. Big day.